This is the Hidden Leaf Village's handsome devil, Rock Lee, and you're watching Anime Egotists. After this, you can do 51 sit-ups or watch all 51 episodes of Rock Lee and his ninja pals. Rock Lee. Leaf Hurricane!
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where the Dragon Balls would not work for us. Like, the dragon would just refuse to bring us back.
He'd go, yeah, that's a waste of my power.
Complete and utter waste. My name's Alex, and I feel like if we came up with a card game out of artifacts and anime, it would be pretty good.
Think about that if we ever get past 100,000 subscribers.
Oh gosh, if we ever get there, that's good. But regardless, in that setting, we would probably have some rivals, and anime has a lot of rivalries.
Yeah, it's the basis for a lot of early arcs, especially in shonen animes, is someone is the rival to the main character.
That's correct. And it's not even just the main character, it's side characters, villains can have rivals, all that other sorts of stuff. But for every rivalry or rival that's good and interesting and compelling, there are rivals that just, well, aren't great.
Exactly. So this is kind of the first part of two. We're now going to talk about the worst rivals in anime, in our opinion. Of course.
Mainly just rivalries that weren't all that interesting. Maybe we find the rivals to be annoying. Maybe it's just a pointless rival. Because if something's pointless, it better be entertaining, and if it's not, then what's the point in doing it?
Exactly. And again, part of it also could be the fact that like one side is just way stronger than the other, so the rivalry is really just it's all one-sided, and that's not necessarily the best.
Exactly. Please. So we're gonna talk about here the worst rivals in anime. But before we begin, some of you might be thinking, oh, Alex is going to have Drew from Pokemon on this list. No, I am not. As I have acknowledged, his rivalry with May was a good thing. It's just the extracurricular stuff that I wasn't on board with. So, Drew, you're safe. For now.
Alright, so do you want to start us off this time?
I would love to. And we talked beforehand, I do have a Dragon Ball rival on my list, or rival on my list. Do you want to know who that person is?
Sure.
From Dragon Ball Z, Kui.
Okay.
What was the point of Kui? Just to tell Vegeta, hey, they're looking for the Dragon Balls. That's it. He really doesn't provide anything else to the story, which there's nothing even inherent. At least Zarbon has a little bit of charm to him, but Kui basically establishes himself as Vegeta's rival. He keeps saying, I'm Vegeta's rival. Vegeta, I'm your rival. I'm your number one rival. And then Vegeta kills him really, really easily.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I didn't even think about this at this point, because he's in like 3 episodes.
If that.
Yeah. And yeah, he's like, it's pretty much to introduce the idea that Saiyans get stronger every time they're defeated. They get a power up pretty much, and he and Vegeta were on par before Vegeta went to Earth, and now Vegeta's like twice as strong or more than he was. So it's of what we see, it's a one-sided rivalry. This could have been more interesting maybe if there was like a prequel series following Vegeta destroying worlds and stuff, but I doubt that'll ever happen.
I feel like at one point you said you would have liked to have seen that.
I would. As I said, I doubt they'll ever do it. It's just they're so focused on expanding the story from where they leave off every time, it seems like. So
Yeah. But you can understand. Like I said, I put rival in quotes. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, this one's very one-sided, especially from what we see, because Vegeta literally kills him in like 5 seconds.
With some nice fireworks, but still.
Yeah, I'll completely co-sign. I didn't even think of Kui when I was doing this list,
I'm
so
not even sure Kui would think of Kui if we put him if he was invited to any of these lists.
that is probably very true.
His life was very sad, but I don't feel bad for it. But anyways, Kui, shall we move on?
All right. So my first one is uh Ta- Takumi Aldini from Food Wars. He's the issue I have with this rivalry. He's rivals with the main character Soma, or he's supposed to be. And at first, it's fine. They're both pretty much on par with each other. But over the course of like the year and a half that the story takes place over, Soma becomes the number one student in the school pretty much. And well, Aldini is a top 10 student because he isn't ranked in the top 10 at the end of the series. He's like number seven. So and his rivalry with Soma is pretty much they pass back and forth this cutting utensil that Aldini lost in like the first season to another competitor. We never really see much after the first like time that they're rivals. They become more friends after this, but they're supposed to be rivals, and it's just never shown that they're good rivals with each other. Like if they showed that he was number two, three, or four in the rankings and was competing constantly for the number one spot, then maybe it would be better, but we never see anything like that. It's always I'm behind like half our class.
Heck, it would have been kind of cool if, as he showed up, he was towards the bottom of the class, but as Soma and the others are doing their own thing, it's showing, oh, he's at 50 now. Oh, he's at 25. Oh, he's at 10. Wait, what's happening? How is he jumping so fast?
They kind of did that with another character. It's yeah, I just I never liked this rivalry, especially because Soma just kind of ignores him after their first battle. It's like, oh yeah, we're more friends than rivals, and that's how Soma, the main character, acts towards him the rest of the time. So that doesn't help the his case as being the uh trying to be the rival. There's two characters that are placed at like as like the number two and three guys in their class, and they're always like better. And it seems like that they're more of the serious rivals, unfortunately.
Oh man, that doesn't sound good. But yeah, I guess I can co-sign on to that. That sounds frustrating.
Yeah, I mainly picked him as well because he was on my most underutilized characters list because after a certain point he just sort of vanishes and then he comes back every so often as like a side character, but he's never the main focus of an arc anymore.
Yeah, I kind of have a rule with myself of I'm allowed to talk about certain anime as many times as I want, as long as I try and limit the amount of characters to it. Like if I brought, like for example, if I brought up Bastion from Yu-Gi-Oh, people would be like, oh, of course he's bringing him up again. But it's only like the second time you've done it, so I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but I mean that goes towards it is the fact that he is very underutilized, especially in later arcs. He's never like he's not shown to be as good as Soma later on, and that's the issue I have with him.
That's frustrating. Is he at least entertaining?
For the most part, it's
Okay,
entertaining to when he's on, but it's as I said, I wish they had done more with him.
I can understand that. So my next one,
Go right ahead.
Rifuta Imu from Psyche K.
Okay.
Oh, good God. I've given Teruhashi a little bit of a hard time on this channel, and she deserves it. But at the same time, though, she has moments where I find her entertaining, even downright hilarious. But she did not need a clone slash rival. And that's basically what Emu is. She basically is a first year while they're second years in season two, and then she's basically winning the hearts of a bunch of guys, and she's like, "Oh, I have to take down Terahashi," and she fails a lot. It's just watching her fail over and over and over again. And she's here's the thing: we've talked about this before. Like the Say what you want about Chaz from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but I at least feel like he was entertaining. Like he won other duels, just not
Hmm.
against Jaden, which didn't necessarily help, but it it helped a little bit. Refuta, whatever the hell you want to call her, just fails on a consistent basis and then just ends up basically becoming a lackey towards the middle of the season. I don't know. As I've said before, I kind of feel like we already had too much Terahashi to begin with in season two. We didn't need another one. It kind of doesn't work.
Yeah, especially because if you wanted to see her grow at all, it's not the best way of doing that because I'm sure that if vaguely remember this character and the reason she becomes a lackey is because she wants to become as popular as Teruhashi pretty much is
Something like
so,
that. It was kind of confusing.
yeah, so it kind of messes up the whole she's trying like if they want to make Teruhashi grow and become a better person overall, it's like, oh, well, now you can't really do that with this storyline.
Yeah, basically. And then she ends up falling in love her with Terahashi's brother, who is I don't have anything nice to say about him. I would the series would have been better if he just fell off a cliff or something.
I vaguely remember him being the stereotypical overprotective brother, but also possibly in love with his sister. So that was the weird.
That your memory is very good, but I'm not sure if that's a good thing in this scenario.
Not really. I remember you watching, and then this might have been one of those times that after the first time you met him, you got up and walked out of the room without
I'm
really
just
saying anything.
I'm just like, nope, we're not doing this. I'm still looking for a character for Richard. That's not him. I don't hate Richard that much.
Oh god. But yeah, based on my vague recollections of it, I'll co-sign.
Yeah, and then she also at one point for like an episode ends up with the crush on Psyche. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just she's just an unnecessary character and somehow an even worse rival.
Okay. All right, my next one.
Go for it.
So, as I said recently on one of these, I have watched all of Cowboy Bebop, and this is one of the worst rivals. It's in a very comedic episode, but it's not. I. This is not a good rival. Andy, he's a he's another bounty hunter, and he becomes a one episode rival for Spike. They're both trying to go for the same bounty, pretty much, and Andy is not necessary. It's hard to tell if he's good at his job, but he keeps getting in Spike's way because everything's from Spike's point of view. Every time Spike almost catches the bad guy in this episode, Andy does something and it gets in his way. And it's, as I said, maybe if Andy had been in more episodes and we saw that he was a competent bounty hunter, but it just seems like he doesn't understand what's going on half the time. And he's dressed as a stereotypical cowboy in this entire thing. He even rides a horse.
I mean, it is called Cowboy Bebop, so
I know, but still, there's that. And just the fact that, I mean, Spike is constantly going after this guy, and then Andy just keeps messing it up over and over again. And Spike doesn't want to acknowledge Andy, and Andy's like, "Well, I'm kind of your rival or something in this throughout this episode because I'm a bounty hunter as well." And it's just, it's not, it's as I said, it's played for comedic effect, but it's not fun after it's like it gets old after like the second time that Andy interrupts the bounty.
yeah. As I feel like even the most hardcore Cowboy Bebop fans are kind of like, we try not to talk about Andy because we try to avoid him.
I can understand why. And yeah, I'm just as I said, I liked Cowboy Bebop. This was an annoying character in it though. So I luckily it's a one-off episode, so once you've seen it, you don't have to go back and watch it.
I can understand that completely. Okay, so my next characters.
Go right ahead.
Okay, this is two characters because I really couldn't just this is kind of one of those I kind of have to. Ido and Hyde from Zatch Bell.
Okay.
I know you remember these guys. They were the guys in the first episode with the wind powers and the skateboard.
Okay, yes.
This, honestly, it's not even necessarily a bad rivalry, just kind of an underdeveloped one. Because in the first episode, Ido is basically flirting with Susie, Kyo's friend.
Hmm.
And they try and back him off, they fight, and they basically just fly away on the wind and stuff like that. Then they're in another episode where they're basically trying to get stronger, and they realize because they're not horrible people, but they're not the nicest either. But they also kind of realize that protecting each other is kind of what makes people stronger. Like at the end of the, I want to say 20th episode, or I don't even remember the episode specifically, it's shown that it's like, oh, hey, looks like when we look out for each other and when we do our best to protect each other, that's pretty cool. Like they say it in a coolish way, not like in a dorky one, but it's like, okay, these guys, they kind of seem like they're not necessarily going to fight on the side of good, but they're also just not going to side with the bad guys. Maybe they'll do their own thing, but they never show up again.
Yeah, I remember the characters because I've watched the first episode of Zatch Bell relatively recently. I don't know why I watched one and then didn't continue watching the series, but I do remember them. And there's sort of the first kind of like dark, mysterious thing. Because if I remember correctly, they have like the stereotypical early 2000s. They're going to be the bad guys for the episode, so you see them on like a rooftop in the shadows at one point, and then it's
Hmm.
like, oh, they're more comedic than actual threatening throughout the rest of that episode.
Yeah, basically. I guess my thing is, even if you did, like, to me, when I didn't see them in the war arc, I'm like, oh, are they building to something? Are they getting stronger on their own? Are they becoming officially good guys, officially villains? Just no, no.
That's the thing. People forgot about them. They announced Zatch won the tournament at the end, but that they never actually fought, and that they're just off training on an island somewhere. They
Yeah,
never actually lost.
I would honestly love it. It's just like, yeah, we're still here, so we need to fight.
But I've been king for X number of years.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, at the end of the manga, like the end of the story, apparently they're just. It's not even shown. Oh well, they got beaten by this dangerous villain. It's just like, oh, they just lost. To who? They lost. But to who?
Mm. Yeah, but you would think that the first character that you'd want to introduce would be as like the as a major battle, which is the first episode or first or second episode, I can't remember. Um, they you'd want to be a recurring main character kind of rival for them, and it's what like 3 or 4 episodes before we get uh even like a glimpse of the kind of main rival for this rest of the series.
Something like that. I don't know.
So yeah, I can understand why this is disappointing to you.
Yeah, especially since we never even got to see their full arsenal of spells. Well, unless you get the video game, and their spells are flippin' ridiculous in a cool way, but also kind of ridiculous.
All right. So my next one.
Let's do it.
All right. So I have Evergreen from Fairy Tale who is rivals with Urza. This is another kind of one-sided thing. Evergreen is like the third strongest female character in the arc and fourth at the end of the series because one of the main girls gets a lot more powerful as the series goes on. But her whole thing is that wants to be she wants to take the title to Tanya, which is Queen of the Fairies, which Urza earned as being the strongest female in the guild. And uh she's just by comparison to Urza and in her strength, Evergreen is really weak. She's not necessarily a weak character, but when compared to the one she's trying to be rivals with, and Urza's like, I don't care about the title. I mean, I've earned it because I want to protect my friends, but I mean, I don't care about the title itself. And Evergreen's like upset about that, and she as the series goes on, the rivalry becomes less of the focus and more of her relationship with one of the other characters when they see her, but she's never becomes a main character and she's never really a threat to her. So
What is her magic?
her magic, I vaguely remember her. She had like two different style things. One was she had a special eye power where she could turn people to stone, kind of like Medusa. And then what was her actual magic?
I feel
Um,
like with the name like Evergreen, you should have like the power of the forest or grass or even bugs. But so far, the name isn't really selling me on what her magic could be. That's very deceptive.
as I said, she's never used like very often. Let me see. Uh,
I already don't think I like her.
Personality, history.
Oh, this girl.
Yeah, she's she's never used very much. I mean, she's in like
Fairy
every
magic and letter magic.
okay,
How am I able to find this faster than you?
because I just went to the wiki, but as I said,
So did I.
I didn't even look at her magic. I think I skipped over it, but
Fairy magic and letter magic.
yeah, but she's never used for her magic. She shows up in like every arc after she's introduced and never used at all, like in any of the stories really. Besides, she's used to flirt with one specific character for the rest of the series, and that's it.
That sounds lame.
Yeah, as I said, it could have been really cool had she been training during the time skip that happens after a little bit after her introduction, and at that point she's on par with Urza, and they actually have an interesting fight or something, but they don't do that. I think she's in the same kind of thing that keeps everybody the same age, so she gets trapped as well.
Sure, why not? I guess I can co-sign on to that. I'm getting closer and closer to the point where I'm about to give Fairy Tail a chance. Like once I finish a couple of other stuff, I'll be like, all right, let's see where I can go from here.
Okay. And as I said, you don't have to watch it all if you don't want to. I
I
don't
I
care.
I at least want to get a little bit in. I don't know if I can sit through all 6,000 episodes, but still.
I'd watch through the first maybe one or two arcs. If you don't like it by then it's fine to go ahead and stop because you have to watch every arc pretty much to get all the information for because characters are introduced in, like every other arc.
Oh goodness. Okay, so my next character rival,
Yep.
Haru Onodera from Nisekoi. Hey, we said rivals. We never specifically said fighting rivals. This could have been any type of rivalry.
Yep.
Okay, so I've talked before about how the tsundere archetype really kind of gets on my nerves. But the thing is, there's a character, and trust me, I have a point with this. There's a character in Nisekoi named Sugami. She's a tsundere, and they actually do a fantastic job with her character. The main tsundere, Chitoge, they don't do a fantastic job with her, but they do a pretty decent job. Like not too shabby. So I guess with that they decide to add a third tsundere because I guess we're running out of cliches to do.
Well, I guess they didn't want to do Yandere and have her just be that shit crazy.
That there's a possibility, but there are like so many others. Regardless, Haru Onodera is the younger sister of Kosaki Onodera. While Kosaki is like super nice, polite, a little bit shy, Haru is the exact opposite in that she's very angry, tsundere-like, and just violent. And she gets introduced in season 2 to fall in love with Raku, and she gets okay, the problem with this is the four main girls, I feel like got a good amount of screen time. Not a lot to the point of, oh, well, these are fully fledged three-dimensional characters, but enough to be like, I'm liking that I'm seeing them. Let me get just a little bit more, though. But instead, they decide to add another character to the mix who's just an underdeveloped version of the two of the other characters. It really didn't sit well for me, especially since she gives up relatively easily. She's just like, oh, I guess my sister likes him more, so I quit. That's
That's that's become an issue I've had with a few different um I forgot what the term, I guess harem animes I've watched before. They a lot of times they have like three or four girls that are introduced like right at the beginning, and then they bring in like five or six episodes after the kind of the start, like the halfway point in a series. A lot of times they bring in these extra girls as new rivals, but don't give them an episode. There's not enough time at this point to have them develop a relationship really with the main character.
exactly.
So it sounds like that kind of happens in this, and as you said, they've copied the same cliches that two of the other characters have. So that's also kind of annoying. If at least make them different.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, I don't even recall her having like a character defining moment. Like I can give everybody else like, oh, Onodera, the better Onodera fell in love with him because they were friends at one point and they helped each other when they were both like floundering in life. Like Marika, he basically saved her life when she was sick and sad in the hospital. There's not really an establishing, oh my god, I can believe this for Haru Onodera. It doesn't work for me.
I can understand that. It's yeah. I don't know the series as I said. I don't think I've watched this one. I may watch it eventually. I just don't know.
It's one of those shows that when it's good, it's really, really good. But when it's bad, it's you basically want to slap somebody.
All right. So my last one before honorable mentions,
Yes. Out of curiosity, before that, do you know how many honorable mentions did you say you had?
I have two.
Okay, then I'm gonna. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Let's see. I'll do that one. So I have Endeavor from My Hero with All Might. This is another heavily one-sided. All Might doesn't really even think Endeavor as a rival. It's more of he's number two. He's doing his best to try to be the number one hero. And especially early on, uh, Endeavor is obsessed with beating All Might and never can. And All Might is just doing it to be like a hero. He really all he wants to do is save people and make the world a better place. And Endeavor wants to be the number one. So their goals, while being heroes, is not the same.
I feel like I feel like with the goal of look, you want to save people, that's cool and everything, but I want to be number one. I feel like that could work if it was comedic, but I based on what I've heard, Endeavor is the farthest thing from comedic.
Yeah, and the lengths he goes to, the abuse he gives to his children, the um lengths he goes to try to become the number one hero. I mean, literally, the only reason he has kids is to literally he's trying to breed to create so that his son can be or son or daughter can be the number one hero. That's literally his whole purpose of starting a family. He even admits that. And it's like, but and as I said, the abuse he gives his family, it's like, yeah, there's a reason All Might was number one. It's because he didn't care about being number one. He literally did everything because he wanted to make everybody else happy and save the world as best he can.
Is there at least like a moment where Endeavor realizes that like, oh, wow, I suck?
Yes, he's had it in the anime kind of. His kind of redemption happens over a a large part of the series. It's not finished yet in the anime. If you know the manga, you know it'll continue. I don't think he'll ever be fully redeemed. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But I mean, even the way the rivalry ends is when All Might is pretty much forced to retire, and Endeavor's like, well, it is angry because it's like this is not how I want to win this rivalry. It's like,
That honestly reminds me of when Yugi lost to Raphael, and Kai was like, "You are a disgrace. You were supposed to lose to me, not somebody else."
yeah. So yeah, I mean, in the end, All Might saves the day, pretty much solidifies that yes, he is the number one hero, and then Endeavor's like, but I'm now number one because you're retiring, and I wanted to beat you at your best, and now I can't do that. And it's like, yeah, but that's not what All Might stood for.
Yeah, and I can co-sign on to that. Is it honorable mentions time?
Yep.
Okay, I had to get rid of my joking answer because I thought of another answer that, while I don't necessarily agree with, I kind of want to get your talking points on.
Okay.
Okay, from Pokemon XY/Z, Alon. Is Alon a bad rival? Because I feel like I've heard people kind of talk about him like he's a bad rival, and I want to get your take on that.
God, is he even really a rival? I mean, he has his standalone episodes, but does he's not really introduced as early enough to be a rival for Ash that we get to see them multiple battles, they grow against each other.
Okay, but that's kind of the crazy thing for me because it's not necessarily that like Alon shows up and he's basically helping Team Flare because at one point he thinks they're the good guys, which they're
Hmm.
not. But the thing is, he gets several episodes where he's doing stuff like the Mega Evolution special and that sort of
Hmm.
thing. And he's not always interacting with Ash necessarily, but he's still doing his own things and like building up his story. And he does kind of learn from Ash saying like, "Hey, snap out of it. We have to save the world and everything" during the Team Flare arc. So not to mention the whole Alon teaching him about, I guess, sort of helping Ash and Greninja through their battle bond thing. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I can kind of understand why people say he's not necessarily a rival. That doesn't mean he's a bad character per se. I think he's a very interesting character, but I can kind of understand why people say he's not really a rival. But I just want to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a mixed bag. He would have, I think if we had had more interactions between him and Ash where they just happen to run into each other before or after a Team Flare thing has happened in the series, if we'd had some of that, maybe it would be more of a rivalry for me. To me, I really view him as a he's the strongest competitor at the tournament for Ash, and that's about it. If they had a few more battles, maybe one-on-ones, if it had been a back and forth, maybe, or if it had been one-sided the entire time, then and then it ends with a much closer battle, how it did, maybe it would be more of a rivalry
Yeah,
for
I
me.
will say though, I don't like whenever people say, "Oh, well, he was just introduced to beat Ash like all those other times." I'm like, yeah, but at least he was introduced very early on with his own stuff. I give him far more credit than Tobias, Tyson, even Harrison. Something like I don't know. Like I said, I a rival maybe not, but I still think he's a very fascinating character. I think Alon is great.
He is, and I will say that. Yeah, yeah, because I mean that was the first thing I was thinking. It's Tobias that has the legendaries, right? And
Yeah, that's
it's
correct.
like what? Really? Why do you have all these legendary Pokemon that just so that Ash can lose?
Yeah, and more importantly, how did he catch them?
And aren't they in Pokeballs? Because this was during the anime when they weren't willing to draw anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what I figured.
Hey, there's a time where you have to throw a Pokeball. I want to say it was Sword and Shield where you had to just throw any type of Pokeball to catch one of the cover Pokemon, and no matter what Pokeball you use, you do it. I used a Premier Ball just to say I caught a Pokemon with the worst Pokeball that nobody should be using.
The free one that comes when you buy 10.
Yup,
All right. So my first honorable mention.
go for it.
Well, you did your Pokemon one, or do you have another one?
I don't have any more Pokemon ones.
Okay, then I will get mine done, and that's Burgundy for Silent from Pokemon Black and White.
I have some mixed opinions on that.
My biggest she is one of the more annoying rivals in this part of the series. Like I used to harp on Trip a lot, but that's because I'd only met Trip. He was the only of the characters I had met at this point. And oh my God, is he like a breath of fresh air when compared to the rest of the rivals. I still think he's not necessarily, he's definitely not the best rival Ash has ever had, but he's not the worst.
Not even a little bit.
And uh for this, if Burgundy maybe if she had grown through the series and actually become like a B class or an A class connoisseur, uh, like as silent as they went, but she never grows. She's the same rank from where she started to where she ends. Like, and if she'd even shown signs of like maybe not being the like that she could have her opinions change where she knows she's wrong about stuff. Like the her first whatever it was that she did with Ash, where she said you need to just replace all your Pokemon.
His team was not great at the beginning, so I don't completely blame
Mm.
her for that.
I know, but if she had grown and said something at the end, like one of the last times, she's like, your team isn't that bad or something, and then just like run away. If there'd been any sort of growth, but she does not change throughout the entire series.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. There was a sick, twisted part of me that thought you were going to say Trip, so I'm proud of you in that regard. But I'm gonna be honest. I always felt kind of sorry for her. Like, look, because say what you want about Silent, but he was kind of an asshole towards her at times. Like, a very passive aggressive, like, oh, well, I can always teach you more. Like, I don't know, there was something about him that I feel like deep down he liked humiliating her. Maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I felt sort of bad for her at times.
But that could have been an interesting development had she actually shown growth, and then he still is kind of beating her down in a way or something. It's like then it would have been like, okay, maybe Silent isn't the nice guy that he keeps pretending to be.
I'm still convinced he's not.
But that's the issue, in my opinion. Burgundy doesn't grow, so she doesn't become that great a rival for Silent. If she had been like, she gets promoted and then she's like, oh, by the way, I'm taking the A class connoisseur promotion exam in a week. And Silent's freaking out because he hasn't had a chance to prepare for it or something. And then we have an actual arc where he gets to go prepare and become an A class connoisseur or lose to her or something there.
It seems more and more like anime does not do a great job of the main character being the head rival, and then they have their own rival who's trying to catch up to them. It never really seems like it works out all that well. When it's the other way around, it seems to work for the most part. But it doesn't seem, it's a weird thing they do.
Yeah, God, imagine being like this anime is stars Tim. Tim is the rival to the actual main character of the story, and that could actually be interesting of watching like you get everything from the perspective of a side character as we watch someone else defeat the monster or the god at the end of the series.
I actually really like that idea.
There you go. Take it, anime world. Someone create that.
Someone please, but like, I'm not going to say credit us, but credit us. But
Just say, yeah, I watched this American podcast.
yeah, it wasn't that good, but I got an idea out of it. But I can understand. We might not be that good, but we're certainly better than Burgundy.
Yep,
All right. My next honorable mention,
go right ahead.
Komba from Bakugan, the original Bakugan.
Okay.
Okay, so you know the main characters, the battle brawlers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Masquerade, the main villain, ended up sort of brainwashing these other characters basically to fight the brawlers, and they were like the top 10. Komba was fighting Shun, and they both had Ventus, or air, or wind attributed Bakugan. Everybody else really struggled against theirs. Heck, Marucho lost to Klaus, and that's how he lost his ace Bakugan Preus, and what I thought was a really like good story beat. Do you want to know how the battle between Shun and Komba goes?
Yeah, because I don't think I ever saw the end of the series. It was never on when I wanted to watch.
Shun wipes the floor with Komba. It's And here's the thing: this is right around the time it's like, hey, we have the Doom Dimension. If your Bakugan lose, they're basically going to die. And people would generally lose like two Bakugan, and then their ace would finish the job and save them. Shun just destroys them. Like he doesn't lose a single Bakugan that whole duel in that whole battle. And you might think, well, maybe the rivalry itself is no. The whole episode that happens is a fight between Dan and Shun because they're both just stubborn idiots. It never feels like Komba is all that special. He never feels all that powerful for being in like what the top 10, 20 Bakugan players. And at the end of the episode, he basically gets over his brainwashing and he starts crying like, Shun, I want you to teach me everything. And Shun's like, what? Get this kid away from me.
Yeah, I vaguely remember the characters from at least the main cast. Shun was the black-haired guy, right? Just to
Yeah.
make sure. Okay.
Yeah, he loses his mom like 10 episodes in. It's kind of scary.
Okay. Yeah, I vaguely remember the series because it was always on like before school, and that was so it's like I would turn it on and I'd only catch like the end of an episode or something.
It took me several months after it came out to finally find a Bakugan because I'd find little tiny figures, but never like the balls you could just roll on and then they would click open.
Yeah, now I think they sell them in like mass packs at Walmart.
What a time to be a kid. But yeah, Combo he was annoying. He was clearly the B plot for an episode. He did not work.
All right. Sounds, yeah, it doesn't sound great.
It's not.
All right. My last honorable mention.
Sure.
I'm gonna go with my Naruto one. Um, which this is a one-sided rivalry that kind of starts at the uh mid like the tuning exams and then goes through a couple episodes of Shippuden and then that's it. And that's Kiba and Naruto. It's this becomes a one-sided rivalry because Kiba pretty much becomes obsessed with beating Naruto. Everything seems to be a joke about it though. He's like, I'm gonna become Hokage just so I can spite Naruto. And they even make jokes about it later on in the series where it's like, yeah, no one's gonna vote for you for Hokage.
I genuinely was upset when they started saying stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know. He can turn into a three-headed wolf. I would listen to the man.
Yeah, the main episode I'm thinking of is the one where um I think it takes place in the past when Naruto uh left the village to go with Jiraiya, and Kiba goes to the old tree that they used to play at as a kid and discovered Naruto beat his time. So he like it's like all of that story arc, and it's like Kiba was always better than him at certain points, but Naruto kept trying, and pretty much once Naruto wins, it's like he at the tuning exams by farting at him, it's over.
Yeah, but that's the weird thing because it kind of works the other way around too. Because it was shown that Kiba was better at Naruto in a lot of his tests and stuff. But at the same time, there are filler arcs where Naruto was being an idiot and messing up, and Kiba's like, "No, we're supposed to go this way. Hey, the map says this way. Let's go this way." And it's revealed that Kiba was right the whole time. And I don't know. Their rivalry. Let me put it this way: there may have been times where both of them were able to best each other, but neither of them looked good besting each other. It was never, wow, you beat a credible opponent. It was, wow, you beat the other person failed, and that's why you won. It was a rivalry that didn't make really any of them look good now that I'm starting to think about it.
Yeah, that is a very good point because Kiba was like the hints that Kiba was in practical exams at least was like one of the top students in their graduating class, and the fact that he lost to Naruto is like a huge shock to the whole crowd in the tuning exams because Naruto was last in like everything.
Everything.
So it's as I said, and then it just continues. Like they have hints at it. I think I can't remember if it's in Boruto or the special they did before Boruto came out, where Naruto's supposed to be crowned or made Hokage, and
Yeah.
Kiba and all the men are bringing Naruto home drunk, and Kiba's like, well, they just named him Hokage because I stepped down.
Yeah.
And yeah, the rest are like, yeah, that didn't happen.
To be fair, out of the three of them, I wouldn't even pick them to be Hokage. I'd have Akamaru be Hokage.
Well, I mean, he's the obvious choice.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, this rivalry did not make either of them look all that good. If anything, I kind of feel like this is one of those rivalries where it could have been shown, wow. Like, I know it's at this point, it's like Shikamaru and Choji are the obvious choices, but this rivalry maybe could have shown maybe Kiba and Naruto are a lot closer than people think they are, but they don't really play that up at all.
Yeah, it would have been interesting had Kiba, especially in Shippuden, had a few episodes with Naruto where he was like outperforming Naruto at like everything, proving that it's like, yeah, no, I'm pretty much like, and it'd been like, oh, well, by the way, I'm on the verge of becoming a Jonin or something.
Exactly.
All right, and you said you have one more honorable mention, right?
Okay, yeah. This is not necessarily a rival, but I do think maybe they could have done something with it. From Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 4, Daigo Serrano.
I don't know season four, so I'll have to
Oh,
have you describe it.
trust me, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna notice this character very much. So Daigo Serrano, he basically is the top student of the freshman class. I want to say, either freshman or sophomore class. He ends up dueling Jaden and loses really quickly. I don't know. I guess the thing for me is I feel like a lot of people complain about Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds that you say the main character won too many duels. And in one sense, I can kind of understand that. But I think the problem for me with Jaden was he was in so many more duels that it felt like every episode he was winning a duel. I think for this, since Jaden still wasn't completely in the right headspace from everything that happened with Yu Bell, etc., I would have been kind of okay if Jaden had lost this duel and we could have like built like, oh, the younger generation might be overtaking you, so maybe this can snap you out of it. Because between season 3 and season 4, Jaden doesn't lose a single duel.
Would you have wanted him to lose this duel, or would you would have rather had him face Chaz and lose to Chaz in a duel, though?
Chaz, but I didn't want to put Chaz on this list because
Eh,
it would have hurt me. It would have broken my heart to do it.
Well, that's one of the things. It's like it's that one's a very one-sided rivalry, but yet it doesn't necessarily feel like that all the time.
Oh, trust me. The reason I say that also say that is because there is a duel between Chaz and Jane that I would have had Chaz win, but I just felt like that was another video for another day, like a list of
Mhm.
battles where maybe the other person should have won. Which is I've been working on that list, but I've also been struggling with it because it gets weird.
Well, yeah, and I know already you're number one for that list because we've already talked about it.
It's not gonna be Joey versus Merrick. I've talked about it enough.
Oh, well, it's as we've talked about, that does deserve to be like number one on
Well,
everybody's
obviously,
list.
but yeah, I don't know. I just felt like they kept saying, hey, Daigo's like really, really strong. Daigo's all this. Like if had Jaden lost and like maybe they'd had a little bit of a rivalry in season 4, I thought maybe it could have been a little more interesting, but I don't know. I feel conflicted because also his cards are based on these Black Flame Dragon cards, and
Hmm.
they are really cool. I feel like they're cards that you would like to use.
You said Black Flame. Okay.
Yeah, Horus the Black Flame Dragon, and
Oh,
they have levels and stuff.
okay. I know which cards you're talking about. Okay. I think I may have used them once in Duel Links because I was trying out some of the level monsters, and they're okay. I don't know if I would continue to use them. I don't think I had the complete set, so I couldn't actually duel with them correctly.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily a rival. It's kind of one of those. I feel like a rivalry could have spurned from it. At this point, I'm just trying to make honorable mentions a little more interesting because, like I said, I struggled with this list because I love a lot of rivals in anime.
Yeah, I have a feeling that list is going to be a lot easier to get the all the numbers we need. Not necessarily easy to narrow it down to the best rivalries because there are
I
a lot of good, nice rivalries in
Yeah,
anime.
and just a heads up for that one, we're both gonna share the first answer because one of them is just way too obvious.
Yeah, we've already discussed that and off screen, so you know it off the top of your head.
Yeah, so if for some reason you're listening to this one, you're anticipating the next video, then there you go.
Well, guess in the comments below which one we're planning to share.
Yeah, whoever wins, everybody else loses, and so does the winner.
Yeah, we're not rich. We don't have money yet to do anything like that.
Nope.
All right. So I guess I'll go first with my final one then.
Go for it.
Lan and Dex from Mega Man NT Warrior. So specifically Dex.
I'm
He
sorry, what?
the issue I have with this is that it starts out in the first episode because Dex is always kicking Lan's butt because Lan has the stereotypical Navi. But pretty much once Lan gets Mega Man in that first episode, I don't think he loses to Dex once, and Dex
Oh,
pretty
this
much,
idiot. I know
yeah,
this idiot.
yeah. It would have been nice had Gutsman stayed at least for the first season or so as strong as Mega Man or close to it and been like always right there neck and neck with Lan and Mega Man, trying to figure out his own like and seeing stuff like if them trying to get program advanced when they see that how strong Mega Man and Lan are getting. We don't get any of that. It's pretty much after the first few episodes, Dex is relegated to I'm your rival, but I'm like not near as strong as everybody else that you face through the rest of this series. And they come back once as like intern for World 3 or something and uh end up losing and returning to the good side after that. I don't remember them having a battle with Gutsman again after that.
I was about to ask if you remember what his like Navi's name is. It's Guts, man.
Mhm.
It's pretty terrible.
Well, Gutsman is the like always the first person you face in the games, and I think that and he's one of the first ones you fight in the original Mega Man series anyway.
I love how he bullies Lan into, hey, let's battle with our things. Hey, it's like in Yu-Gi-Oh! When someone's like, hey, I'm gonna bully you, and we're gonna play a card game battle. I'm like, can't you just throw me in a locker or something? And it seems far more productive use of your time.
Well, seeing as Dex is like twice the size of the rest of everybody, he's like a foot taller than every other child character and twice as wide. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they kind of have the same archetype for a character. His name is Bud in Mega Man Star Force, but I feel like Bud is at least likable.
Dex becomes likable as the first season goes on. It's just this, but he tries to be the rival for Lan, but he and Gutsman don't get any stronger. Where we constantly see Lan and Mega Man, they get oh god, I forgot what it's called. Style change, then Soul Cross, then God, what's the term? The one where they come out into the real world. Now, maybe there's a part of one of the later stories that never got dubbed that they actually have some more where Dex's and Gutsman are stronger, but
Damn it, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say, oh, well, he gets stronger in the sub. Oh, that's right.
yeah, we never got the sub here, and it's really difficult to find anything. So, God, I keep hoping that when this Legendary Collection comes out, that they'll announce that they're either releasing a complete subbed version of the anime or I know they hired the guy who did the dub voice of Mega Man, but that might have just been for the opening screen of the game.
Oh,
So
boo hoo, your favorite Mega Man series never got to finish it, Nia. I wonder what that's like.
give it another 5 years and then your game will be coming out.
You're acting like I'm gonna still be alive by that point.
Good point.
But yeah, I blanked out on his name. Dex, is that his name?
Yep. Yep.
I don't think I liked him.
He was he had a kind of a stupid friend, former bully kind of thing going on. So, and as I said, he never really grows throughout the series. The one time you think he's growing, Gutsman is still defeated at like halfway through the episode.
Yeah, not only that, but his mouth is huge, and apparently he sleeps with his mouth open.
Yes, yes, he does.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, he's got like his entire mouth is like half his face. So,
Yeah, yeah. So I can co-sign. I feel like yeah, I can co-sign.
all right. So your last one.
We talked about this before we started. It's Ino from Naruto. It's Ino. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'd like to think that maybe we could find something nice to say about the women in Naruto, even if none of them are, in particular are written well. But Ino was not it. She basically, Ino, oh boy, Ino basically is a love rival for Sakura, and they both fight over Sasuke. Once again, why do people like Sasuke?
Dark and mysterious. I
Yeah,
think
but
that's
not.
literally the only reason.
Yeah, I feel like it was revealed that they liked him before all the stuff went down with his family, and he was like a cheerful. He was cheerful. He was nice. I liked that Sasuke.
Yeah, I kind of yeah. Imagine if he kept his personality from the 1010 dream where he's like a playboy.
Oh god. Oh god. But back to Ino. It's just that her and Sakura just fight over Sasuke, and that's their rivalry. If it was I need to like it was people were always saying, "Hey, don't lose to Sakura," but it was always about Sasuke. Hey, not only that, but she really didn't do that much throughout the series. Like we've talked about you talked about Asuma and Shikamaru. I talked about how much I love Choji and all the stuff he did. What did Ino really do outside of a what did Eno really do?
Cried when her dad died.
I mean, I'm not going to act like that's not a normal human healthy
I
response. I get that, but like,
Yeah, I mean she had her moment with the resurrected Asuma, but that was also more of a Choji moment because he was the one that was freezing up. Mm, she cut her hair in the tuning exams because
that
Sakura did.
that fight was so terrible. It was so bad. And the worst thing is, like, even as adults, they're still bickering about this stuff. Even though Sakura got married to Sasuke and Ino got married to Sai, in my opinion, Ino dodged the bullet. Sai seems like a good partner to have and a good dad.
Well, at least he comes home at night.
I wasn't gonna go that route, but yeah, you're right. Not to it's not even like. Here's the thing: even with all the stuff that Sakura like is involved with, I still don't necessarily believe that she got stronger because of Ino. Like in the beginning, when they're friends, it's kind of interesting, but then it's just like, oh, you like Sakura, so you like Sasuke, so we're not friends anymore. Like, what?
Yeah, and the the fact that pretty much uses the same insults that Sakura was like hurt by, and that's why they became friends, like billboard brow and stuff that she calls her.
Yeah,
So it's like, okay, this is not done well. It would have been. It's perfectly fine when they're their child through like the tuning exam
yeah, because they're like
age.
what 10, 12.
Yeah, I think they're 12 at that point. Maybe 13. I don't know what their birthdays are,
I don't
uh,
care. I wasn't invited.
but when they're as they get older, I would have hoped that they would have stopped bickering and maybe become more friendly towards each other, but that doesn't happen, and they still seem to be rivals because they even fight over like Naruto and Hinata's wedding present.
Yeah, and as a contrast to that, Shikamaru finds gift and he tells Choji, "Hey, thanks, man. And I couldn't have done this without you." And Choji's like, "I don't know what I did, but I'm just happy to be here."
Exactly. It's like the, Choji and Shikamaru have like the perfect friendship in the entire series.
Yeah, I'd like to think it's like ours, but they actually like each other.
Yeah, ours is probably more like Shino and Kiba. They
Yeah.
don't actually really like each other, but they always team up together for some reason.
Who's who? Which one of us is Shima? Which one of us is Kiba?
I don't know. Both of those are actually halfway decent options.
Yeah, but anyway, but the crazy thing, like I said, I can understand if they grew because of their rivalry, but it felt like they grew when they were away from each other. So, like, I don't know. Not to mention, like I said, their fight in the tuning exam was just not. It wasn't good. Heck, they even make fun of it in the abridged series because they don't even fight. They just bicker for 40 minutes, and the third Hokage's like, okay, you both lose. This is depressing. You both suck.
Yeah, and I mean the rivalry isn't it's pretty much just introduced in that episode. They talk about their past in that like 3 episodes that I guess it's only two. And it's like but it feels like five,
Yeah,
so
but do you remember when the Sakura was being useless against the Sound Three, and Shikacho were like, "Shouldn't we go help Sakura? I mean, you were friends at one point." Ino hesitates, like, "Okay, seriously, over a guy who doesn't like either of you, you're just gonna potentially let Sakura get killed over it?"
yeah, but I think that I thought that was more that she was scared of them.
I
But
mean, maybe, but do you complete? My
I
line of thinking isn't completely unfounded.
that is very true. But then you would think she would want to jump right in to help because Sasuke's passed out there is another thing.
Yeah, that. Heck, there's another line in the abridged series where Shikamaru's like, okay, I seriously don't get it. Why do all the girls like the emo guys who treat them like crap? And Ino basically says, I really don't know. I honestly don't know. If it were up to me, I would be going out with Kiba. And I was like, they do kind of have the same attitude. But regardless, not no. Just,
Yeah, no, 100% agree. This was one I considered heavily for my list as well. So
I don't even necessarily hate her. I just don't. I hate her when she's around Sakura, but the other time she's just like, she's fine, I guess.
she and Sai, from the few moments I saw when they were in Boruto when I was still watching, they look like a cute couple together there. And now that may change. I heard that there's an episode where Ino kind of goes like not batshit insane, but kind of overly controlling with their son, and it's not good there.
Yeah, but I haven't heard of that episode. Like I've heard about that episode when it happened, but I haven't heard anything about it since then. So maybe it was just a one-off thing.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, she has a more fun, playful kind of relationship as the only female on her team with Shino or with Shikamaru and Choji than Sakura has with Naruto and Sasuke. She complains about him, but you still feel that she cares. Where Sakura, it's like she doesn't care about Naruto. Really.
I was about to say, you said Shino. I'm like, are we just? I'm like, we make jokes about not being shippers, but we keep throwing random characters together. How does that happen?
Sorry, I meant Shikamaru and Choji.
Yeah.
But in the end, you know that she cares about them.
Yeah, it's not really the same for Team 7, and like, good God, Team 7.
Yep.
Anyways, are we ready to close out?
I believe so.
Alright, ladies, gentlemen, and others, who are some of your least favorite rivals/rivalries in anime? Rivalries that felt too one-sided? Were the rivals annoying, pointless? Just anything.
Exactly. And again, if you do want to guess which rivalry we both agree is the absolute best rivalry in anime, you can always guess that in the comments as well.
And you get nothing from it, but you get nothing from it. But still, we appreciate it.
Hey, they get something. They get the promise that we will film that episode eventually.
I certainly hope so. But if you want to see that episode and more episodes, go through the archives and see what we got. Be sure to smash, stack, and hit the like, subscribe, and bell notification. Give us a rating on your favorite podcast apps and all that other nonsense. And we will see you guys next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And you have been listening to the Anime Egotists. Good night, and peace easy.